This is how not to manipulate your queen. So, many guys, including yourself, they tend to manipulate the woman that you are in a relationship with, right? Perhaps you're in a relationship right now, or perhaps you are not in a relationship right now, but a lot of those times, you tend to manipulate the feminine, you tend to manipulate the girl, the woman, the queen, right? You can see here, you tend to manipulate, oh no, the queen, the drawing, right? So, what I want to discuss today isn't some kind of relationship advice, no, because this is not what my channel is about. It's not about relationship advice, it's not about how to flirt, how to, from the title of itself, how to actually manipulate a woman, right? I'm not going to be talking about how to manipulate or not manipulate. There's nothing to clickbait you. So if you're watching this because you know that you actually manipulate in a way you are not telling the truth of yourself, then this video is right for you, or my channel is right for you. Welcome to my channel. So let's get on with it. First one, what I want to be talking about is that the problem with a lot of guys, the reason why they manipulate, right? The reason why I manipulated the woman, the relationship that I was in, is because of validation. What does that mean, right? Now, validation is a very huge topic to talk about, right? When you want to get validated, what does that mean, right? When you want to get validated, that means you want to feel a certain way. Perhaps you want to feel good about yourself. You want to feel satisfied about yourself. You want to, let's say, you want to feel good, you want to feel satisfied, you want to feel respected. So you want to feel something, right? Now, feeling of that, of course, you want to be validated, is not that wrong. Like, it's not wrong wanting to feel validated. But what's wrong is how you respond to that feeling of wanting to be validated. Do you tend to manipulate someone in order for you to feel validated or not? Now, for a lot of guys, I know, and in fact myself as well, you tend to be what we call the nice guy, right? The nice guy. Now, the nice guy is this archetype. It's like some kind of personality you have in you that indicates that you need some kind of validation, right? So the nice guy's problem is that he seeks validation, right? He seeks validation by manipulating, because they want to feel good. And most times, the nice guy, when you are manipulating someone, that someone is always the feminine. For some reason, the nice guy can come out from a lot of different aspects of life, right? It can come out from your boss, perhaps telling you to do this work, and you keep on saying yes to your boss, in order for you to be promoted, or in order for you to have his interest in you, his satisfaction, in order for you to gain this kind of advantage in your workplace, right? But a lot of the guys that I talk to, where their nice guy syndrome rises up, where it turns on, where it is expressed, is always in a relationship, especially with the feminine. Now you can become the nice guy with your friends, with your cousins, with your family members, but the most of the time the life crisis, right? The life crisis always happens in like deep relationships. Why? Because when you're in a deep relationship, you're opening that relational what is it? You're opening that you're opening your own heart, you're unveiling your heart into the other person. And when you're unveiling your heart to the other person will unveil her or his own heart. I'm talking to the guys here, so I'm going to say her. The person, the woman is also unveiling her own heart to us as well. And when we go deep inside this relationship, we expose all the parts that are vulnerable to the other person, because we want to have trust with the person, right? We want to have relation. If we have relation, that means we're talking nervous system to nervous system, and we have that trust to a person. Now, a lot of the problems that occurs in most guys' relationship is that the nice guy syndrome. And the nice guy syndrome is created when the person or when the guy is manipulating someone, right? And what does this look like, right? Let me give you an example. Let's say an example of perhaps like a broad one, right? Perhaps you keep on, just try to make any picture in your mind, perhaps related to yourself. So my own experience, if I'm gonna put it out generally, it looks like this. You as a guy keep saying yes to her to avoid conflict, right? This is basically the nice guy, because you're trying to be nice. That's the syndrome that we're trying to discuss here, right? You are the nice guy that keeps on saying yes to her to avoid conflict. Oh, please, I want to buy this. Can we? Okay, sure. Please, can we go to this place to eat in this restaurant? Please. Yes, sure. Please, can we please, can we have a date on this date? Have a date on this date. Please, can we go on a date here on this exact time? Okay, yeah, sure, why not? But little do you know, your own self is, you have this fear of, if you say no, you will create conflict. Because what you're scared of is that when you say no to the person, when you say no to someone that sees you vulnerably, right, the one that you think will keep you safe, because you relate that person with safetiness, with security, with this love and care, right? Once you do that, you will, you're not going to be able to, what do we call it? When you have fear of that conflict, because if you say no, then you fear of abandonment from that person, and that's sort of like the effect of it. That's the result. Okay, right? Let's say you do have conflict, right? What you're scared of here, being the nice guy or having this nice guy syndrome within the part of yourself, is that when you have conflict, you are scared that the person will blame you, right? Because you're trying to be nice to the person. What you want, the last thing that you want is the person not being nice back to you. So even when you're nice to the person, and then you don't want to create conflict because of that, and then out of a sudden the person like doesn't like what you did, or the person, I don't know, points out one of your insecurities, right? Suddenly you're like, huh? All I've done to you, all that I've done to you, all this kindness that I've done to you, right? And you treat me like this, right? Of course, well, in like the whole concept of this, you have to treat each other with kindness. But the person or the partner doing something to you that triggers that nervous system, it doesn't mean that this is a problem. And what do I mean by that? If you're, let's say, in a conflict, right? And then you know that you've been giving to the person, a lot of. Now, the one who creates the conflict itself, the one who sees and perceives it as a conflict, that's like the whole problem right here. Because let's say that you give a lot to your woman and you keep on saying yes to the woman, you should not perceive whatever problem that just arises from a small little thing as a conflict, as an argument, as a problem, right? Or else you will relate it back to this like give and take, this like give and receive, right? It's like this is some kind of transactional love or something like that. In order for you to get unconditional love from her, you have to give her something, and so she will return something back, right? Okay, yes, I agree with you that we have to give each other kindness, but in this case, this is like too obsessed with saying yes all the time that you have no boundaries within yourself, and that's a problem because then it can affect to the result that you don't want, which is the crisis, which is the conflict that you cannot resolve, right? Just because it's a small thing doesn't mean it's a conflict or doesn't mean it's a problem. And from that's where the relationship starts to downgrade. And if that cycle keeps on happening, then what will happen? You guys will break up, you will go through a whole phase of depression, loneliness, etc., 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 right? And you'll be like, oh, why did you do that? Why did I do this? A lot of those stuff. Now, in this like nice guy syndrome thing, right? Again, manipulating, right? What does it mean, right? Manipulating, like the example I gave you, the guy is just saying yes to the person, the guy is just saying yes to the queen, to your woman, to the feminine, right? In order for the feminine to give something back to him, in order for the feminine to give this validation, give like, oh my god, oh thank you, blah 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 blah, oh I'm gonna give you this, oh I'm going to give you pleasure, whatever, all those stuff, right? No, that's wrong. You're still manipulating. God still sees you manipulating the woman, right? And perhaps you're going through this thought of being the nice guy or having the nice guy syndrome in a more unconscious or conscious way, right? The better way is to be conscious, of course. But now, if you're still unconscious, then I'm gonna take you from unconscious to conscious. So try to picture in your brain right now, where are the moments where you are manipulating, where you are trying to be this nice guy, where you're just saying yes to everything she says, and you're saying no to nothing, basically, right? You have no boundaries. You're unable to say no. You chase validation. By manipulating. And many more, but this is like the main definition of who is a nice guy. And of course, just think, you don't want to be the nice guy, right? You're watching this video because you don't want to manipulate, you don't want to be the nice guy, right? That's really good, but this is what I want you to picture in your mind. Picture this whole definition of no boundaries, you can't say no, and you keep on chasing validation by manipulating. And what I mean by, again, you already know, right? Validation by manipulating, meaning that you keep on saying yes in order for you to receive something back, in order for you to receive love unconditionally, right? Now, and you know to yourself that this cycle that you're going through, it keeps on destroying your relationships. And you know for a fact that if you keep on continuing and having this nice guy syndrome, what will happen to your family, right? You will do that to your children as well. You will apply this nice guy syndrome to your children, or your son or your daughter will have this nice guy syndrome as well. Nice guy syndrome doesn't mean it only applies to guys. Again, right? It also applies to women as well. But because my audience here is guys, so this is only for you towards the woman itself. Now, in order for us to know in order for us to know how this nice guy syndrome, in order for us to understand and know how to get rid of this nice guy syndrome, is we have to know the root cause of it first. what is the root cause of this nice guy syndrome, right? The nice guy syndrome is mirrored, right? And what do I mean by this? Imagine a mirror, like literally a mirror, right? Imagine a mirror. Now this is you. Let me just draw. This is you, and this is a mirror, and this is your reflection, basically, right? This is your reflection. Imagine this as this is you, this is your reflection, right? The reflection is the blue one, the black one is you, right? This on how you receive, how you gain the quality or the personality of the nice guy itself is mirrored than none other than your caregivers. And caregivers is equivalent to who? Your mom and your dad. Now, what I want you to do is to look at your own story of what I'm about to say here, right? Is it coming from your dad or is it coming from your mom? So what I noticed and what I've learned through the work of healing my inner boy within myself, healing the child, right? Healing spiritually. What I learned is that specifically the nice guy itself, what I learned from my own self, right? I have that connection with being the perfectionist, right? The perfectionist is one of the results of the nice guy syndrome. Perfectionist. And what does that mean? That means that you have to be perfect, and if you're not perfect, you will feel uncomfortable, or you will feel unsettling, or you feel uneasy, or you don't feel good, right? That's the feeling of no perfect, no life, basically. No perfect, no life, and just concluded in that small phrase, right? Now, where I get this perfectionist syndrome or perfectionism or the nice guy syndrome, it all comes down to the unconditional love that we get from our mother, right? The feminine. That's why a lot of these relationship problems, well, I'm not giving advice here, but a lot of this crisis that happens in our life, particularly in an aspect of our relationship towards the feminine, this is where all the relational trauma and where all the wounds occurs and created and starts, right? It all starts with the mother, right? Why? Because the mother is a source. So mom here is the source of unconditional love. This is like the big main thing. Perhaps you can also say comfort. You can also say warmth. When you cry, when you fall down from the bike, where do you go? You go to your mom. What's your mom gonna do? Your mom's gonna caress you. Your mom's gonna say, "Oh, are you okay? Are you doing okay? Are you fine? Oh no, you got a boo-boo, right? It's bleeding. Oh no, okay, I'm gonna put bandage on it and what, and your mom caresses you there, and you got this unconditional love. Even though you keep on crying, your mom still cooks for you, all those stuff, right? And from my experience, what I see from a lot of guys and when I talk to them is that when you don't get this unconditional love from the mother, right? Again, it can also be the father, so not all of this will apply to you. But what I learned is that when you don't get this unconditional love from the mother, you will try your best to get unconditional love by doing what the mother requires you to do. So, example, your mother will only treat you nice if you do the things that she says, right? You've done your work, nice. You've done your schoolwork, nice. You've done the chores, nice. You've done You've done your I guess that's it, right? I mean, when you were a child, all you thought about besides playing is just schoolwork, chores, and homework. Well, schoolwork is homework, right? Or helping with something, right? Whatever that is, if you do that, and then you will get love. and then you will get unconditional love, right? And if you don't do that, you won't get unconditional love. Now, this is where it applies that relational trauma, right? This is all relational. So the reason you keep on manipulating and the reason you have this nice guy syndrome that is projected towards your partner or towards the feminine or towards your queen is because your mom didn't give you unconditional love, and it's only conditional, right? Your love is conditional, so you have to do some sort of thing in order for you to get love, in order to you to get treated right. Now you can also get this from your dad, because there's two different needs of a son from the father, right? One is actually it's the same thing like this. One is love. Where should I put it, bro? I have no space. I'm just gonna erase this first, right? One is love and one is validation, right? One is love and the other one is validation. This is the core needs of son from father. And if the son doesn't get this, he will chase validation elsewhere. And one of the key aspects of life where he chases validation is from the feminine. And if he doesn't get it from the feminine, he will chase it elsewhere again, right? He will chase it through drugs, through addiction, through porn, through a lot of these things. Now, perhaps this doesn't apply to you because, you know, perhaps you don't get the core needs of all this complexity and all that jazz. Perhaps it's not you. Then, you know, you can leave in a comment below. I'm gonna answer some questions. You're gonna ask me, oh, my mother and my father was like this. What do you think is the problem coming from this, blah, blah, blah. If you need questions, then I will answer in the comment, right? So that's where you get love and validation. Now, unconditional love, again, that's from the mother. From the father is more that manly, like masculine, like love, validation, and say that, oh, you got this, I'm proud of you, attaboy, let's go, tiger, right? And if you don't get that from either of them, perhaps one is incomplete, perhaps one is complete, but the other one, well, that's the same thing as incomplete. If it's incomplete, then you're not going to be able to trust yourself to get that validation and love. So what you're going to do is you're going to find it to another person, and that's the problem right there. And when you find it to another person, it's when you what was that about to say? When you when you find it from another person, right? That's when you treat, or that's how you view the person, or your wife, your partner, the feminine, view the person as that lost parent, right? You see them as the lost parent, the parent that you're actually trying to find a parent, right? You're trying to find a parent, and you get that parent from that you get the lost parent from the person, from the feminine, right? And this cycle will keep on going through if you don't fix it. Of course, every relationship that you're going to enter, you will always see the other person as a parent, as a mother specifically, because I know for a lot of guys, those love and unconditional love, lack of unconditional love, they are derived by the mother, and that's the reason why they turn into this nice guy and they keep on manipulating other people, right? It's not only their partner, but it goes to their boss, it goes to their other aspects of their life. So when you fix that one problem, and you know that's like the biggest problem, then it will be very beneficial, not only for your relationship, even though this whole channel is about relationship, but it's also for other aspects of your life. Okay. Now, what I want to be saying here, what I want to talk about right now, is that I want you to know that all of this is not your problem, you know? Again, the reason you are manipulating, as we know, like I mentioned before, is because of your mother, right? Your mother, your caregivers, yada, yada, yada. And what I want you to know is that you are an adult child. I want you to stick this in your mind, and I want you to be aware of it. I don't want you and your partner to also be aware of it. They might also be an adult child, because if they haven't yet healed their emotional wounds, their unresolved trauma, and those emotional energy that are stuck in the past, right? You are still an adult child. And why is that? Again, you are still in this traumatic scene, right? You are still operating as a child. Why? Because just think logically of what I talked about before. You're still manipulating. You are still being the nice guy, right? You are still trying to seek validation. What does that mean? You are still in the boy psychology. As we mentioned in Jung, if you read KWML, which is King, Warrior, Magician, and Lover, there's the boy psychology and the man psychology. And one of the boy psychology, one of the archetypes of that is actually when you manipulate people, when you seek validation, right? I'm just going to make it clear here because I don't want to use those terms. It's going to confuse you, right? You are still an adult child. You're still operating in a system where this is you, right? Let's say this is you, right? You are in a relationship. This is the child within you that are still sad that he didn't get that unconditional love from the mother or from the father, right? And so he chases external validation, and he finds that external validation. He tries to find his best to find that unconditional love from the feminine or from the one that he thought he can get unconditional love from. All right? So, yeah, as you can see here, this is the child, right? This is your unconscious, because you're not conscious that your child is still operating. This operating system is still stuck here to the child, and this is you. This is your conscious self. This is your adult self, right? As we know in Jungian itself, the self is the whole, is the one that knows everything, is the one that is connected to the higher power, or what we call connected to God, right? But the child within you is not integrated yet, right? That's the problem right here, right? You are still an adult child. You are still operating as an adult child. You are still operating in that moment or that scene. Because, listen, right? Listen here. Trauma can be equivalent to two things. It can be in two types or two forms, right? One of them is high voltage, and one of them is subtle. And what do I mean by this, right? High voltage, what does that mean? High voltage and subtle. High voltage, if you think about from the word itself, it's something that have like this high charge. It's something that strikes to you, and you cannot unremember it. Everywhere you walk, if you see something that spikes up that signs of that traumatic experience that you needed to undergo as a child, then it was high voltage. Because if, let's say, someone asks you, oh, do you have a trauma? Did you had like traumatic experience back then? Oh yeah, maybe it was a car accident, or perhaps you saw one of your family members passing away and dying when you were a child, and you couldn't comprehend what it was like. You couldn't comprehend what it was, right? You just follow life just that way, and you're stuck there, and you are conscious that it's stuck there. But there's also subtle, right? Both of this can have some kind of it's pretty immeasurable, because high voltage doesn't mean that you're conscious of it, you know that it happens, but it can also be that you don't know what happens. It's just stuck within your unconscious, right? Now, the subtle one is basically the little small, like, incremental, is that the word? Is that the word? Incremental, like small incremental, not steps, events, right? Small events that lead up to a big cause. Because again, there's a quote, I forgot by who: small moments create big impact. Now you can literally apply this to any part of your life. If you do small habits every single day that are good, then it will affect you greatly, because you will benefit for it in the future. Same goes with this subtle form or type of trauma. If you keep on experiencing this subtle, like, let's say you're a perfectionist and your mom keep on or your mother keep on giving you unconditional love, if you do the requirements, and you experience that day by day for years, for 7 years, let's say, right? Those 7 years are subtle, right? It's just slow, it's every single day, but you little do you know, it's actually affecting you greatly, right? So both of this is affecting you greatly, but you really have to know which one it is. Is it high voltage or is it subtle? What I see from a lot of guys and what I experience myself is specifically the nice guy, right? Because my child is not integrated yet during that time, so I see that as a subtle event, because whenever I do something, it has to be perfect, right? And then I will get love and whatever. There is perhaps like maybe 70% of that happens, 30% my mom actually, gives me unconditional love. There's a lot of that's why it's pretty immeasurable, right? But you just try to think to yourself, do you feel? Because people might be in a denial that it's not a trauma, that it's not bad. But the reason you are still a nice guy, that means something happens back then. Something happened that you couldn't comprehend as a child. And those emotional energy is stuck in that traumatic experience, and you're unintegrated with that subconscious mind, that nervous system when you had that traumatic experience, and now you're still operating in that subconscious mind that are carrying these burden parts. Now, what I want to be talking about next is actually the burden parts, right? Because in order for you, it's okay, so now you actually understand, right? How does this all link back to your past, right? Now I want you to understand that in order for you to actually fix this problem, to actually transcend over the problem of the nice guy syndrome, in order for you to do that is to break generational legacy. And what do I mean by this, right? When you want to break generational legacy, it means that you want to break the patterns, right? You want to break the patterns, you want to break the behaviors, you want to break the beliefs, you want to break the actions, and just etc. Just many more. Basically stuff to do with your psychological mindset. You want to break the behaviors, beliefs, action, and patterns that you inherited, from your caregivers, right? Sorry, from your ancestors, or let's just say from your grandparents, or you can also say great-grandparents, right? Great grandparents down to your current caregivers. Because the reason, right? Because here, why do I call it generational? This is the mission that I want to do, right? This is the break generational legacy. Why did I say legacy? Break generational patterns. Break generational patterns, right? And then I'm just putting out here, patterns can be behavior, can be beliefs, can be actions, right? All of this, and etc. You want to break generational patterns, right? Not generational legacy, right? You want to break generational patterns because the reason you put out this quality of a perfectionist, if you're like me, right? Or we can say as a result of that is the cause of them is the nice guy syndrome, or you keep on manipulating, is because of your caregivers, right? And how your caregivers inherited that, because why do you get it from your caregivers anyway? Because your caregivers also inherited from your great grandparents, or your grandparents, right? Both from the mother and both from the father's side. So what I want you to do is one of the few ways that I do this in order to actually start commencing doing the deep work, right? You have to have what we call, well, it's pretty common, forgiveness, right? Why? Because when you have forgiveness, you're allowing your nervous system to actually let go of that hatred, or let go of feeling disappointment, or feeling that yeah, the hatred towards your parents, right? So you want to have forgiveness. One of the few ways you can do it, of course, you can wake up and have gratitude, pray to God, right? I don't have to teach you these things, but the thing that I want you to do, that I want you to actually embrace in your day-to-day lives, the values. Sorry, I just ate. By the way, bro, the food that I ate before, oh, it's crazy. I don't have a picture of it, but I have a picture of the previous food that I had, right? This week's food has been crazy. Like literally, today I was eating, I think it was like chicken with rice, but the rice, my mother put herbs on it and stuff, and I used like this like salad dressing. Oh, it's amazing. If I had the picture, I would show you. I would put up in the screen right now, but I don't have it right now. So maybe I'm just gonna show you 1 to 2 foods, like show up in the screen right now. Okay, enjoy that, and also comment down below, what did you eat today? Because I really want to know where you are in the world and what did you eat, right? If me, I ate that chicken with salad dressing and all that. So, anyways, you want to have forgiveness, right? Right? Why? Because when you have forgiveness, you're letting go the energy of hatred towards your parents. Oh, what if my parents did this to me? Right? Oh, I want a better mom. No, I don't think you're ever gonna say that, right? But you want to have forgiveness because you want to let go of that emotional energy, even though you think that you don't have hatred towards them. You have to feel that you don't have hatred towards them. This whole work is all about feeling, right? Because whatever emotion that you felt back then is valid. So if you are a nice guy, that means your emotions were ruined. That means there's some kind of that conscious state where you are in that traumatic experience. It was altered, right? And you have to go back to the original state so you can operate as an adult self and not as a child self. Okay, so you want to have forgiveness, right? And then the next thing after you want to have forgiveness is that because you have this manipulative and nice guy syndrome qualities in you, so what you have to do is to basically affirm your child self that it's okay to ask for love and to say no, to have boundaries and all that. This is like the whole work, right? I'm not going to be mentioning a lot of the deep work here because it will confuse you, and you will, if I tell you to do this work and you do it and it doesn't work, then you will blame me, right? So because it goes in depth, like it's not only telling yourself that, oh, okay, you're gonna get unconditional love, I'm gonna give you love, oh, caress myself. Like, no, like you're not gonna get that just from like caressing yourself. You know, you really have to do the deep work. And right now I'm actually also going through it as well, so if I have any feedback on it, of course I'm gonna be talking about in the next couple of videos, so stay tuned for that. One of the things that I learned on how to do and what to do is actually have those so what we call the needs, right? Because we lacked unconditional love, so we need to gain back that dependency needs. And in order to get back that dependency needs, you have to see whether it comes from your infant self. Perhaps when you were a baby you didn't get unconditional love from your mom or from your dad. Maybe it's when you were a toddler. Maybe it's when you were your school age, or perhaps preschool, whatever that is. And then perhaps now your adult self, perhaps you still don't get it, unconditional love. Now, each of this is developmental stages of your life, right? These are called developmental, right? Developmental stage of your life. And what you have to do is to find out where in that part of your life, where in that which stage that I felt like I didn't get unconditional love, right? And you have to approach that stage of where you don't get unconditional love, you have to approach the subconscious mind, or what we call in the space, right, as my niche, as my industry, is the inner child or the inner boy, because my audience is guys, right? You have to reach out and you have to approach that inner boy, whether perhaps you didn't get it, you didn't get unconditional love when you were a toddler, right? You have to approach that toddler stage and you have to actually give him the unconditional love. Caressing is one way, but that's like after you do the deep work, right? That's why I don't want to give you this actionable steps that will confuse you anyway, right? You have to approach the boy, and give unconditional love and fulfill his needs that was lacked, his dependency needs, right? And then from there, that's when you actually are able to operate in your adult self, because now you integrate those you integrate your toddler self with your adult self now. And perhaps one of the ways you can do that, should I give it to you? Maybe what I can say right now, because I cannot give you just from this video because it will take so long and it will confuse you again, is actually doing what we call the original pain work. Can I just put it here? I'm just going to erase this first. What we call the original pain work. Now, the original pain work is you going through each of your developmental stage and see where you are actually traumatized, see where you have those emotional wounds. And original pain work is where you release, or where you release those wounds, you release those emotions, you feel those emotions that were suppressed, or that was suppressed by your caregivers in your childhood age, right? So you have to do this original pain work, because what those parts of the toddler that carry those emotional wounds are actually burdened, right? And when they're burdened, we have the burden parts, and when they are burdened, you will, when you're burdened and you haven't unburdened it, right? When you haven't unburdened that, you will carry those parts in your day-to-day life, because you will still operate it as that burden parts. So what you want to do is actually unburden it. That's why it's called original pain work, finding where that original pain derived from which developmental stage, and you want to release that. You want to feel and release those emotions. You want to release those burden parts of you. You want to unburden it, right? Try to search it up yourself on how to unburden parts, because I'm not going to give you the full in-depth detail here, and I want you to just know surface level first. But if you want to know how to actually release those burden parts and unburden it, comment down below, and perhaps I will think about making a whole video. Or not, I will need to make a program and whatever for yourself in order for you to actually go through this in a more silent and a more personalized way. Okay? So you have to release those burden parts. Now, just for you to understand, when you release those burden parts, you're not going to be operating anymore, because what the parts is going to do is that those parts are going to integrate back to yourself, and now the parts trust you, right? Because those back then, when your mom was not giving you unconditional love and you didn't know what to do, your psychological mindset of whole, right, did not trust, the parts that were carrying, or we can say the inner child, right, when let's say you were 7, you were 8, did not trust yourself, right, did not trust your adult self. So what it will do is it will take over and it will perform by itself, right? Anytime that the mother did not give unconditional love, you'll be, straight away I have to do something in order for me to get unconditional love. And those are the moments that are very, very traumatic, and you have to fix, you have to release it. And because after you release those emotional wounds, or emotional pain, and what you want to do is to give unconditional love, which what we call in this space corrective work, right? Corrective work experience is when you give the child the correct or the proper nurturing, the proper care, the proper love, right? So I'm just gonna end it right there. If you enjoyed this video, then subscribe so you will never miss another one, and I hope you like it.